There are three common temperature scales used worldwide: Fahrenheit, Celsius, and Kelvin. Fahrenheit is the system most commonly used in the United States. Celsius is a scale most often used in countries which employ the metric system, and Kelvin is the scale most often employed by scientists. It is the standard international unit for temperature. Fahrenheit is the oldest system, and if we look at some common benchmark temperatures, we can see water freezes at 32, whereas water boils at 212 degrees Fahrenheit. The Celsius scale was actually based off of water, which is just a very common thing that people encountered. When they created the Celsius scale, they arbitrarily said, okay, the temperature at which water freezes, we're going to call that 0, and the temperature at which water boils, we're going to call that 100. And they got a single degree just by dividing the difference into 100 parts. And that's how you get degrees Celsius. So we can see Celsius resembles much of the rest of the metric system in that they tried to employ these nice round numbers, factors of 10, for their scales. The only problem with the Celsius scale is that it still has negative temperatures. A lot of times in scientific calculations, these negative temperatures cause unrealistic results in your calculations. So the scientific community thought about it and realized there really shouldn't be a negative temperature. When you have no heat, you basically have no temperature, and so a new scale was created, the Kelvin scale, at which the lowest possible temperature is 0 degrees Kelvin, and this is called absolute zero. We can relate these three temperature scales. Celsius and Fahrenheit can be related by this equation here, and Kelvin and Celsius can be related by this equation here. If you want to relate Fahrenheit to Kelvin, you kind of just have to go through Celsius as an in-between. So first you would use this equation to turn Fahrenheit into Celsius, and then you could plug your Celsius into this equation here to turn it into Kelvin, or vice versa. Most people like these conversions because we simply get to use chemical formulas, and as long as you plug it in and do your algebra correctly, you usually get the correct answer. So let's look at an example problem. Whoops. The lowest temperature on the Kelvin scale is absolute zero, or exactly 0 K. Based on this, what is the lowest temperature on the Celsius scale? What is the lowest temperature on the Fahrenheit scale? So the only equation we have with the Kelvin in it is this one right here. So this is the equation we're going to have to use first. So we have Kelvin is equal to degrees Celsius plus 273.15. So we simply plug in 0 for Kelvin, and then solve for degree Celsius. So we're solving for this, so we're going to subtract 273.15 from both sides. And we see that the degree Celsius is equal to simply negative 273.15. So this is the coldest temperature on the Celsius scale. Now that we have that, we can go on and do this with the Fahrenheit scale as well. So now we have the coldest temperature on the Celsius scale, so now we're going to use this equation to turn this into Fahrenheit. So let's scroll down so we have a little more room here. So, let's look at our last answer. So that's the coldest temperature on the Celsius scale, and that equation again was degrees Celsius is equal to degree Fahrenheit minus 32 over 1.8. So that's the equation. We don't have to memorize that. We're provided with that. So now let's turn that into Fahrenheit. So just like we did before, we're going to plug in our what we know, which is in this case the degrees Celsius, and that's equal to degree Fahrenheit minus 32 over 1.8. We want to get rid of this 1.8, so we're going to multiply both sides times 1.8. So that'll cancel on the right side, and on the left side we will get negative 491.67, and now we still have this piece on top, so that's equal to degree Fahrenheit minus 32. So now we simply need to add 32 to both sides. So our degree Fahrenheit ends up being negative 459.67 degrees Fahrenheit. So that is the lowest possible, that's a 4. That is the lowest possible temperature on the Fahrenheit scale. And in fact, if we scroll up, we see that's exactly what we had in our chart here. 0 degrees Kelvin is equal to negative 273 is equal to negative 459 degrees Fahrenheit. So we can do this. We should be able to interconvert between any two temperature units, and we'll always be provided with these equations. So no memorization, we just need to be able to plug it in and solve for the temperature scale we are looking for.